going to stay there watching it on the remote hearing.
Well, I'm ready if you are. You ready?
Taxi. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Elizabeth, you said we're ready? We're live and recording and doing all the things. All right. Knock, knock. Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, 6 p.m. I'm going to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. We have all commissioners present minus Joey Conwill, and we are down a commissioner overall because he thought first and third Tuesday would be more fun than the second Tuesday. So we appreciate Matthew. We miss Matthew, but we know he's going to do a good job for us up there. So anybody that can't stand, I'm going to lead us in a quick prayer. We're going to have Kevin lead us in a quick pledge. God, we just thank you so much for this privilege that we get to have here on the second Tuesday every month to come here to try to make decisions to guide this great city and along the path she needs to go on. Help us to have clear heads and make good decisions tonight, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank y'all. And if you haven't already done it, please silence any phones and watches and beeping devices of any sort. First item is going to be the approval of the minutes from the June 10th meeting. I do have two quick comments. One, it says it was called to order by me, but I was blissfully not here. I didn't mean to say that. I was not here last week, so we just need to get that updated to Matthew Hinton. And it says our meeting was on Tuesday, April 8th, so if we can get that updated to June 10th. I didn't see anything else. Of course, I wasn't here, so I didn't know what to look for. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes?
Motion approved.
I have a motion by Kevin, a second by
Second.
Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Those will be updated and recorded in perpetuity. All right, we have no new business tonight. That's kind of interesting. We have two old business items. First item is item 3A. It's going to be presented as a public hearing. This is Lima Properties, LLC, on Martin Luther King Drive. Parcel identification numbers are 601-193-34000, 601-193-32000, 601-193-33000, 601-193-4000, 601-193-28000, and 601-932-8050. This is requesting a zoning change from RD 2-family residential to CMX 1 neighborhood commercial mixed use, presenting by Donovan Scruggs. Before we get started on that, let's go ahead and get a motion for public hearing.
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second by Nick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing. I would not have remembered that if I didn't do this now. On your desk, there was a letter from Chelsea Prince regarding the history of this property. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read that when they sat down. And then also, I was handed a copy. If anybody wants it to make notes, you're welcome to it, but this is the presentation up there. If we can just get a motion to accept both of those into the minutes.
Motion to accept.
Motion Joe, second Kevin.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Both of these will be in the agenda. Does anybody want this? I'm going to make notes on my other list. Anybody? Okay. All right, Wade, I assume you'll give us a little rundown on where we are and how we got here?
We'll do that. So, can y'all hear me fine? Do I need to go up to the podium?
I'm good. Can y'all hear Wade? Okay, everybody says you're
That's
good.
fine, okay. As you said, this is a request for a rezoning of 6 individual parcels on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. The request is from the RD 2-family residential to CMX 1 mixed use neighborhood commercial district. I think as I said, it's 6 separate parcels. This was coming back to you from the Board of Aldermen, where it was presented to them. At the original applicant hired Mr. Scruggs to do a presentation on it and do a more detailed analysis of the zoning change, the impact.
Just pause it real quick so I make sure I understand. This was in between our meeting and the board that Donovan got involved and did this.
Right, just before the board met. It was for that reason that the board referred it back to y'all so that you could consider the presentation, the information that Mr. Scruggs has to provide to you.
Okay.
And that is part of your packet, and that emphasizes the the impact and changes in the neighborhood related to the CMX1 zoning district. Just want to point out that this is the RD, low-density, single-family and two-family district. Has a little error omission in the staff report. And the request is, as I said, is to CMX1, which is the least intense commercial mixed-use district with a maximum of 2 stories. And we point out just a couple of things, that the height of both the CMX1 district and the RD district are similar, generally 2 stories. And then also, just to give you a perspective, put things in perspective, that most of Porter Avenue, west of Washington down to Cleveland, is actually also in the CMX1 district, to give you an idea of what that zoning district is intended for, it looks like.
You're talking like the Collective, the old greenhouse, the meat dig, all that.
The Roost, some of the various offices and houses along Porter Avenue. So that's the idea behind the CMX1 district. Now, understand that it does, whatever's permitted in that district would be permitted on this property if it's rezoned to that zoning district. Said Mr. Scruggs has given you a new updated report, and he'll go into more detail, and also with his PowerPoint presentation about it. But as noted in the staff report, the criteria for a zoning change are that there either has to be a error in the original zoning, or that there is a change in the character of the neighborhood that makes the zoning justified, and there also needs to be a public need for that rezoning. I think that pretty well sums up where we are at this point. I'm glad to answer any kind of question you might have, or let Mr. Scruggs make his presentation. Thank you.
Yep. The only thing I want to add to your report is my broken record. Ocean Springs is set up to rezone properties, not projects and not people. So if we rezone it, it is going to carry in perpetuity. It is not a particular project. It's not a particular person. It is everything from here on out. I know this has got a lot of whatever. I'm going to let everybody run a little bit long today. We're still going to cap the public to 30 minutes, but maybe we can do 5 minutes apiece, no more than, and let Donovan have a little extra time to catch us up, because obviously this is a confusing one, or it wouldn't be coming back twice. So everybody good with that? Everybody good? Good. Donovan, you want to take the first stab here? Name and address at the microphone, please.
Sure. My name is Donovan Scruggs, 317 Pine Drive in Ocean Springs. And Andy, I do agree with you 100%. The reason that I got involved is because we wanted to focus on the changing neighborhood character and not a specific project. I believe that the project that was submitted to you, was submitted with this application, did not meet the requirements. And of course, even if y'all approved that project, it was still have to go through a public hearing process, which means that you can't, it just was invalid. It should not have been submitted. And so here we are. First slide, please. Who's doing?
I am,
Okay,
sorry.
Make sure.
I was just making sure where my mouse was.
All right, so this map right here shows the zoning of the property. As you can tell, the property is actually adjacent to a CH, highway commercial, on the west side, and it's abutting a CMX2, which is roof property, on 2 sides, both the entire east side and the south side. And I'll let you know that property was rezoned not too long ago to CMX2. And then, of course, you've got other rezonings that have occurred in the area. Rezonings occur because the Board of Aldermen and the Planning Commission has noted there's been a change in neighborhood character. Next slide, please. This shows you the existing configuration of the property. What I'm looking at here is a number of properties that are non-conforming. The lots, the structures, they just don't meet current code. There's a landlocked piece in the back that does not meet current code. So it would be a public interest to actually have this property rezoned so that a compliant development could be placed on this property. Next slide, please. Now, This right here actually shows you an interesting slide to me because it shows what a CMX one would do for the area. The NC right now shows that every property that has an NC on it is non-conforming. The church is a conditional use, it's non-conforming because it lacks 3 acres required. The parking lot that was put in was conditional use, so it's conforming by conditional use. However, every other structure on this property is non-conforming. Now, if you rezone this entire strip to CMX1, we're not proposing that, just kind of mentioning it, every property on this street would be compliant or conforming. So I do think it's merit to say that the zoning for this particular corridor does not fit. Nobody on this property, on this corridor, meets zoning except for those that are in the CH district or the CMX2 district. Next slide, please. Now this shows you some details of change in the area going back to 1992. To say that this area has not changed would be basically not being honest with yourself. The corridors changed through the removal of homes. The Brooms redevelopment, in my opinion, is very significant because it puts the Blue Dog Bistro on Martin Luther King Boulevard. The actual access to that property is there at the corner of MLK and Government Street. Also, you've had the development of the Crawfish House to the rear of this property, which also makes it, late nights. You've got a lot more activity on the Brooms property than you had in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s when it was a neighborhood grocery store. To the south, you had the Fur property that was redeveloped, rezoned for commercial purposes. You've had the expansion of 1515. You've had the expansion of Ocean Springs Lumber. There's a number of uses that have just been that have changed in this area that I think should be looked at. Next slide, please. This is kind of a zoom in that shows you the change in just the past 15 years. The YMCA, the property on Brooms that have changed, and there were 3 houses across the street in this property that are no longer there. So that is a change in character. When you remove homes, you remove the residential character of an area. So why should an area be zoned residential if there's no residential character in the area? Also, I think it's important to knock out the church parking lot. This puts the north neighbor of this particular property as a impervious surface parking lot that actually wasn't developed the way it was said to be developed in the ordinance that was adopted for it. You've got rezonings for the Bank Plus, you've got rezoning for YMCA. A lot of changes that have occurred in the past 15 years in this immediate area. In fact, if you look at the slide on the right, on the picture on the right, you can see the amount of traffic in the cars backed up on Government Street. Next slide, please. This shows you the sign that says it was for sale. This property was for sale for 2 years. 2 years, and nobody purchased it. The owner bought it for asking price, and there it is. We're across the street from MLK Park. We're adjacent to the Blue Dog Bistro, and then we're adjacent to the parking lot to our north. Next slide, please. This shows some more of the traffic along the area that we have to deal with, and it shows you the redevelopment of the church parking lot. Next slide, please. This shows you just how close this property is to the bistro. It's within I think it's less than 5 feet. It's really, really close. Across the street, the vacant lot that is zoned highway commercial, which means it will be developed highway commercially. And the property is looking at the Blue Dog Bistro once again. The image on the top right is looking at the backyard, looking onto the Brooms property. That's the Crawfish House right behind me. So that tells you just how close I am to a pretty active or intense commercial activity. Next slide, please. This is a pretty neat slide. This is a 1972 picture that shows how residential the area was, all the way from basically Washington Avenue to MLK and further. Even on Highway 90, there was a huge amount of residential uses within this whole neighborhood. Those have been effectively removed. In fact, if you look at the picture on the right, which is just done in 1992, it shows you the amount of residential homes that have been removed. I mean, guys, we're not talking about a residential corridor anymore. We're talking about an area that has developed significantly, the residential aspect has been removed, whether it's been that Macedonia, expanded their church, a Macedonia put in a parking lot, whether it's just total removal of homes to the south or the short-term rentals on Government Street, the area has changed significantly. And I believe the CMX1 is a good zoning. Now, keep in mind, CMX1 the C does not stand for commercial. It says community mixed use. Community mixed use. So by asking for this, I'm not saying commercial is going to happen here. I'm not saying residential is going to happen here. I'm saying your district, I'm rezoning it to community mixed use. Now, what's going to happen there? We don't know. And I can almost bet you money, no matter what we do, we have to come back and see you guys. So there will be additional public hearings on this property when we move forward. Right now, we're just trying to say, has there been a change in neighborhood character? Next slide, please. This shows you the house to the south and the condition it's in. This was the condition of the house when it was purchased by the applicant. So it needs to be demoed. It's in bad shape. Next slide, please. All right, this is a nice slide because it kind of shows you what's allowed in the RD district. Single families allowed, duplex structures are allowed, and accessory units are allowed. All right, so I've got 6 parcels. 6 parcels. With that, I can do duplexes on each parcel. That's 12 units. Now, also allowed by right is accessory units, meaning a detached cottage. That means I can do a 3rd unit on each side. That means that if this developer wants to develop this property to the maximum amount he can develop it as it's permitted, as it's drawn right now. No need to subdivide, no need to come see you guys, just go 18 units and he maximizes dollar. That's not what he wants to do here. Following the rules, following the existing layout of the property diminishes the whole corridor. By allowing this rezoning, you allow a quality project to come forward that you guys will have the opportunity to look at again. Right now, it's all permitted, it's by right. You don't have I don't have to come back to you for any permission or approvals. Next slide, please. This shows traffic counts. I know somebody's gonna get up here and say, oh, traffic. Traffic has decreased by almost 30%, no, 50% on MLK in the past 10 years. It's gone down significantly. Same thing with Government Street. It's gone down on Government Street too. Why? Sometimes intensity and density actually slows traffic down. If it's congested, you don't go downtown. More people are walking. Guess what? That's another reason to avoid downtown. So, but if you look at downtown, sales and everybody's skyrocketing. The businesses are doing well, and it's become more of a pedestrian area than a thoroughfare. As a testament to this, Holcomb has increased, and Washington has increased in traffic. Next slide, please. Now, comp plan is on for discussion tonight. We are consistent with the existing comp plan as far as the future land use map, and we're consistent with the proposed comp plan as far as future land use map goes. So on both sites, we are considered commercial center load. That means that people before y'all, except for Marshall, and others have all looked at this property and says, ultimately, one day, this property is going to be commercial load. Next slide, please. This is some more stuff that you comp plan. I can go through it, read them verbatim, but it just shows you that this is really a project that is consistent with the comp plan. Next slide. More stuff. I mean, I can go through it forever. It talks about the diversity of housing. It talks about the CMX1 is actually a less intense zoning district than the CH and the CMX2. So by putting this in there, you do provide a buffer for the areas to the north. I get to buffer the residential aspect of the parking lot, if you want to do that. But yeah, I do get a buffer with the CMX1. Like I said, the property zone basically on 3 sides by commercial, north side is conditional use for a parking lot. So I think it is consistent with the character of the area. Next slide, please. More comp plan stuff, And this is the basis for rezoning, based on a change in neighborhood character within the area. Sorry, I went long. I know I have a feeling the other side's going to be a bit long today, but go ahead. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Before we go public, do y'all have anything for Donovan now? We tend to give you a rebut at the end as well, so
Thank you.
y'all say nothing on this side either? All right, thank you, Donovan. If I can call for anybody to speak, name and address.
Public hearing?
We already did. I did it before this. So
Okay.
See.
I was asleep.
Usually. All right, name and address, please.
Ellen Hall, Sunset Drive, Ocean Springs. So he was saying that you need to show a change. No one can deny there's a change. The law says there has to be a substantial change. And if you look at what these residents have gone through over the last 5 years or so, 5 to 10 years, there have been a lot of these kinds of hearings where they've changed the surrounding area. And it's not because they want it, they're not asking for it. And that's the other thing, is that you have to look at, it says the relevant factors are, per the law, the impact on the neighborhood. How would the proposed change affect the overall character and quality of life in the area? So I remember the last meeting we were at where this gentleman just said that with the advent of the Crawfish House and the YMCA, that the traffic had increased in this area. And now tonight, I'm hearing the traffic has decreased. So I'm a bit confused at the facts that are being put up here. Also, I just want you to consider that it has to be a significant change, and we have to consider the residents and what they want in their neighborhood. So that's all I ask, is that you please do that and not develop everything that gets asked to be developed and change the zoning when there's not a substantial need, a substantial change and the impact on the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, name and address at the microphone.
Joe Buell, Ward 3. The first thing I want to say
This isn't sufficient. Do we need a better address, or we go with ward?
Typically, going by ward is sufficient.
Okay, I didn't know that. Sorry, go ahead, John.
That's what is done at the board meetings, let's put it that way.
Okay, I've never.
they've stopped asking for addresses for obvious reasons. As long as
I like
you
it.
identify yourself as a resident of Ocean Springs.
Ward 3, I got it. I just never heard anybody do it. Thanks, Joe. Go ahead.
So I want to first say, if Donovan Scruggs and his supporters are going to be allowed to rebut the things that as citizens we should have equal opportunity under the law and then the governing rules of this board, that we should have equal opportunity to rebut also. If he gets 2 bats, we should have 2 bats. So first I want to say is this planning commission has already turned this down. For great reasons they turned it down. And nothing substantively has changed here, other than Donovan Scruggs laying most of the blame for change in the community on Macedonia and the Black Church, which I think is very disingenuous and unfair. That church represents that community that's in that neighborhood, physically in that neighborhood. Most of the changes that he's talking about has not occurred on MLK, it's occurred on Government Street. There's no substantive changes in Brooms. If you look at Blue Dog Bistro, it's essentially the same. It's a restaurant now, but it's the same type of services that Brooms Grocery Store provides to the community. And it faces government. The back part of it extends, but its mailing address is on Government Street. So I think that's kind of disingenuous to try to extend the legal property onto MLK. When you look at the houses that were to the west, and there clearly were houses to the west. Those houses were damaged by a series of hurricanes, and the city of Ocean Springs took action against them and classified them as dilapidated and did not allow the owners of the property to rebuild. So there is some misinformation I feel that's going out there. And I want to talk about infilling. That is a term that's used here in this rebuttal document, which is substantively, this has substantively changed from the initial presentation that Mr. Donovan gave, because what he's going through is word by word of the plan. And he hasn't provided any substantive or different arguments that were made in his previous presentations. I don't suspect that any of us are going to make any substantive or appreciable changes. I don't think the information that's going to be provided to y'all tonight here is going to be any substantively changed from the decision that y'all made before. But I do want to go through a couple of those changes that he mentioned. So, in the plan, it says, his document, the district provides a transitional district between the more intense residential use and the CMRX districts in between. So what y'all have to consider, and he has said previously, and I think I heard Andy say that at the very beginning of this presentation, is that what y'all here to consider is just a zoning change. That's what y'all hear, that's it. The consequences of those changes is irrelevant to the discussion that we're having here tonight. It's just a zoning change, and they have to check certain blocks, whether they meet them or they don't meet them. They think they meet them, we think they don't. Well, there are consequences to zoning changes, and Mr. Scruggs has pointed them all out. This city, over the past 4 years, has taken on an intensive development plan. They have changed the rules and regulations in situ, in-house, and specialized and selected developers got preferential treatment to develop and change zoning regulations that benefited them and their development. This city overwhelmingly voted against that, overwhelmingly changed our leadership and demand from this city and all our representatives a change in that type of unrestricted development and unrestricted zoning. This is a residential neighborhood on Martin Luther King. It's traditionally been a residential neighborhood. Those houses that they're trying, those properties that they bought, those are all residential houses. They're trying to change the zoning so that they can have more CMX flexibility to develop whatever they want.
So you're at 4.5 minutes if you want to wind it down.
Thank you, Andy.
Sure.
So I just want to say, the changes that we requested, the traffic flow, the traffic just changed because the character of our community has changed. We have more tourists, more visitors, more retail shops. That's the increase in the traffic flow, not a decrease. And I appreciate y'all's previous vote, and I would hope that y'all vote to sustain that. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I get you, Mr. Sorry. No, I know. Before I get you out there, one thing that Donovan said that Joe's made me think of. So Donovan said it would come back to us, and he's right. If they're ever trying to massage the lines, if they did a commercial use, it would not necessarily come back. Well, it would to collapse the lot, though, wouldn't it? If they try to make it all one parcel, they come to us to collapse the lot, or no?
Not necessarily, not to collapse it.
Okay. So collapsing is taking 6 properties that are bounded in this border here and making them one property that's bounded in but anyway, if they did a compliant use, it would not necessarily have to come to us. If they were to do something that required rearranging property lines, it would come to us. Or if it needed a conditional use, it would come to us. But I did want to say that, sorry Donovan, but you did somewhat misspeak, because it doesn't necessarily come to us if y'all were to build a grocery store. I believe is allowed in there. If y'all build a grocery, it wouldn't come to us, but if you build, residential units, it would come to us. So there could be sometimes that it doesn't come to us, but if you tried to do anything with the lot lines, it would. Sorry, Joe made me think of that. Go ahead, Mr. Lewis, name and ward if you don't mind.
James Lewis, Ward 5. I'm here in opposition to the changing of the zoning. Key thing is that when this gentleman spoke before the board, and y'all went back in the Senate to the Alderman board and Mayor of Alderman's, the key thing is he talked about that he hated that they went back in and put a picture in there in their presentation of putting 13 shotgun houses in an area. Key thing is that the reason why it has changed, the area has changed some, is because that, yes, people have moved to different locations, but it's still a neighborhood. When you go down on MLK, when Blue Dog get a truck, that truck sits out there in the westbound lane and unloads to deliver to Blue Dog. When you go to Brooms, and when Brooms' truck comes, the center lane is in, that 18-wheeler sits right there, and then it unloads, blocking traffic and stuff to go back and unload at Brooms. The key thing is that when you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. This thing has not changed. I grew up here since 1957 as a child. I played on the college playground and changed to the MLK. And the Keys were the one that went back in and donated that parcel so that African American children could have a place to play. Yes, there were 3 homes on the west side of MLK because of storms and the going back in and trying to rebuild. That is why they want rebuilt. But the key thing is that we have enough traffic. It is a family neighborhood. It's not commercial. And I just went back across Oak Park School where all those cottages are. That's where they want to come back in and place in that area, those 13 that this gentleman said that he would advise his people not to go back in and put information like that. That's what he said, stand at this podium. And the key thing is that we can't go back in and keep overbuilding. I've almost got killed twice right there on the MLK trying to get across the street to go to church. That's a fact. I came to the city went back in and they put a traffic sign down and showed that's a 20-mile-an-hour zone. But that still does deter the people from going back in and being down there to monitor the traffic because they still drive more than 20 miles an hour. And like I say, 13 times 2, the last time I went, that's 36. If you put those cottages in there, which what they propose, it's in the document, they submitted to Ocean Springs, that's 26 additional vehicles. We have enough traffic. We have enough going back in and trying to modify neighborhoods to go from family residential to commercial. It's all about the density. That's what it's about. If I can put 13 homes in there, and I heard a figure the last time about $500,000 per building, that's a lot of money, and that's what it's all about. It's not about going back in and what Ocean Springs really needs. It's about going back in and see how I can go back in and get the Planning Commission and the Board of Aldermen go back in and change the zoning so that I can make more money. That's the bottom line. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Next resident. Name and address at the microphone, please.
Good evening, Sam Washington, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Macedonia Baptist Church. First of all, the gentleman said a public interest call for rezoning. But if this is all about providing affordable homes, why would I need to change it to CMX1 when it's already residential? So just like Mr. Lewis said, it's really just about the money. If you do the math, if I put 13 properties at $550,000 each, that's $7.1 million. If I sell for the RD2, it's not that. Also, he mentioned about traffic not being a problem. Ocean Springs did a study in 2022, and one of the things that came out of that study was that MLK, one of the biggest problems they foresee on MLK is the congestions that is getting worse. So again, he quotes something from 2019, but this is a study by this board, and I think the folks who did it was Dale Parks.
Dale Partnership.
And that was one of the biggest problems that they foresee in 2022 in MLK was the congestion. Also, you know, he says it's a change in character. Every property that he quoted is on Government Street. There's nowhere around that. If you go and look at the address for Blue Dog, 1801 Government Street. If you go look at the address for Brooms, 1801 Government Street. When he was before the Board of Aldermen, he talked about the office complex that you see right when you come to the stop sign on MLK. That's not MLK. That's Government Street. So, you know, I think it's really kind of crazy, lack of other words, that we come here and we give this false information to feed the narrative. And yes, the church did a parking lot there. But guess what? Everything that the Planning Commission approved, the Board of Aldermen approved was within law. Conditional use. That's what it was. And then if you look at RD2, a house of worship is allowed. And then he want to talk about everything to the north, to the south, to the west, and to the east of the property. but you don't want to talk about the residential neighborhood to the north? That's on Railroad Street? That's residential. So you can't tell part of the story. You need to tell the whole story. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Washington. Name and address at the microphone, please. Ward, I'm sorry, thank you, James. I'm gonna get there, but it's gonna take me 4 or 5 meetings. Name and ward, please.
Greg Gibson, Ward 1, yes, Ward 1, I get confused
You
myself.
just ran for it, Greg, y'all.
Yeah, I just ran for it. But anyway, I'm here on behalf, and I do have property on MLK too as well, and grew up in Ocean Springs. And again, we talk about up the road, down the road, and the meeting place is the playground. So that's history of the neighborhood. And the home that he was talking about that's dilapidated and stuff like that, they should have been issued a citation. And I even brought that up at the last planning commission. If they're gonna follow the law and follow the rule, follow it. If those homes are not in compliance, then they should have gotten some type of a ticket, you know, just saying that, you know, you're out of compliance and you need to get back in compliance within 30 to 60 days, or this is gonna happen. Well, looking at it, I think nothing was even submitted to Mr. Mercer about his property that sits directly behind Blue Dog Bistro. It's been sitting there. We don't own it, he owns it now, and why has he cut the grass and got it cleaned up? He should have been issued a citation because it's not up to standard. I mean, he's the owner of it. He talks about the playground. Well, I was in front of the board 4 years ago telling them that that park was not up to standard because I was requesting that we have equal funding for all parks, not just for MLK Park, because I went, and a colleague of mine, we went to every park in Ocean Springs and took pictures. MLK Park had 1 bathroom, everybody else had 2. Tile floors, running water, nice water fountains, the whole 9 yards. That park has been neglected for years until now. We're just catching up. And I still say that's just a drop in the bucket, but we're just catching up. So essentially, that neighborhood has not changed at all. You know, the same residents, their ancestors, my aunt that lives on the south side of the railroad tracks, the north side of the railroad track, she's still there. That picture was plastered all over the website saying we're going to monitor her property through the urban renewal plan. And that was not right. You go up to School Street, we talked about how all those homes were being redlined. And when you looked at those homes that have been redlined, we're talking about up the road, down the road. We're talking about School Street, back down MLK, and go down Blunt Street, you go down Robinson Street. Those are the homes that was redlined with this urban renewal plan. And essentially, and I talked about that it needs to go away. At the city council meeting, Donovan got up and said, and I'm gonna just preface this, I'm gonna back up. No, the alderman of Ward 4 said, well, Donovan normally gets what he wants. Yes. And I'm just saying this, he doesn't get what he wants. He needs to follow the law and follow the rules like everybody else and level the playing field. So it's time out for people coming in here think they can just snowball or do what they want to do to get what they want. And again, we got to be very careful. Ocean Springs Road, which is Government Street, that was all commercial back then. The schools were there on Government Street back in the old days. MLK was right there. That was a neighborhood. That was essentially Highway 90 back in the old days. So we knew that commercial growth was going to come down Government Street because it was zoned for that. Schools down there, YMCA's down there, Brooms down there, all that is on Government Street, not on MLK. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. We still got plenty. Go ahead, name and a ward at the microphone, please.
Good evening. My name is Faye Payton. Excuse me, Ward 2. The gentleman that spoke earlier about the property stated that this change was needed. My question is why? We do not need it, we do not desire it. in our community area. It is a quiet neighborhood. There are families that have been there for years. As relates to MLK and Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, I stand here, I am 56 years of age. I was born and reared here in the city of Ocean Springs. I've been to a member of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church since I was a child. We're coming up on our 134th year of being Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. The Lord has blessed us tremendously. Yes, we built a parking lot across the street from our church. There was a need. When he talks about Blue Dog Bistro, the Fur Complex, YMCA, Ocean Springs Lumber, Crawfish House, the bank, all of that he spoke of is where? On Government Street. It is not on MLK. However, when there are events downtown, and even when there are not events downtown, the Peter Anderson, the Arbor Festival, anything that is downtown where Washington Avenue is blocked off, MLK is the thoroughfare. And when you have impatient people who don't want to wait, and the line is all the way back to Cheryl's Steakhouse for you to turn, once they get across that railroad track, they go through our church parking lot to try and beat the traffic. There's tremendous traffic on MLK. And he still, as they say, he's trying to sugarcoat their plan. 18 units. That's not needed in that area. We are already combated with traffic. That is not needed in that area. I'm a person, I'm about transparency, honesty, being trustworthy, and this company or whomever purchased this property, they need to be upfront and they need to be honest. Lay your cards out on the table so that we can have the equal opportunity as well. And as it relates to that property being on sale for 2 years, yes, it was. Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, we wanted to purchase that property. However, it was appraised and we were not going to ask the price in which he stated to us, and the price was lowered for the buyer of that property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Name and ward at the microphone, please.
Richard L. Jackson, Ward 5. I appreciate the slideshow that the gentleman put up there earlier. However, this is a situation, if I may say this. When that home was built, had it been a need for additional residences down in there, the homeowner would have placed them there. If you look at the other homes that are in that area, they are considerably smaller than that particular home. The city didn't find a need to put a street down there. If you go back, 600-700 feet, you turn to the right there by the railroad, that's the road. Now, yeah, you can look at it. Now, where the smallest house on that slideshow sits is the back of the buildings, which is 5 feet away. The property lines, they generally run, you're supposed to be, I think, 10 feet, 12 feet away from the next resident, unless you go in front of a board. Now, in order to build this thing, now you're gonna have to go down in there, in the ground, build a new infrastructure, and then you're gonna put all these residences in there. Here's the problem. Across the street from where that home is, you have a playground. And the playground is there for everyone. All nationalities, all genders. So eventually when you start doing stuff like this and you change it, then why not, instead of going up to the distance in the air that he wants to go, why not make it 4 stories? You see, when you increase the traffic flow down there, then, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, the children that are there, and the church goers, and the residents that are in that area, they become less safe. like the lady just said before then, whenever you have some type of event, Mardi Gras, or you have people come down on the weekends, and like I say, the gentleman said, if the truck is there backing up to drop off supplies, all of a sudden, to beat the Blue Dog, that backs up on Highway 90 in both directions, east and west. So now no one can get through there. We've seen the drawings or the renderings that they want to call them, to where they want to widen that area, so they can make that the new thoroughfare to come through there, so it wouldn't be a Macedonia. The name of that street is Dr. Martin Luther King for a reason. The inhabitants of that area were black. They started out across the street, and their residences got taken away. Okay, so they got over there and they formed a community. They didn't name it Truman, Eisenhower, Johnson when they decided to name a road. The road is named Dr. Martin Luther King in honor of a man who wanted everybody, regardless of race, color, or creed, to get along. Money was not an option. Now I'm all for development. And the gentleman that purchased the residence, it's his right to do whatever it is. But based on what I've seen, and based on the condition of that neighborhood, why not build a home or homes that are similar to the homes that are in there? And then nobody's really here. But if you keep allowing people to purchase stuff, and then they come in and they change it. He lives on Pine Street. If I bought a piece of property on Pine and I walked up there and said I want to put 50 places in there, this place would be full. You know why it'd be full? Because one, of who I am. Two, because of what I look like. And three, they're gonna say, we're not gonna allow it in our neighborhood because it's gonna mess up the character of our neighborhood. People come to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and you can look at all the magazines for the small town atmosphere. Now, I've lived in Atlanta, Miami, Memphis, and Austin, Texas. You know what they got in all those places? They call them concrete jungles. You know why they call them that? Because no grass grows anywhere. They have something in the air called smog, because that comes from all the cars that go through there. And then the residents in those areas, they have lung and cancer problems. Right now, everybody around here can get up, get out of their homes and walk and go where they want to go on some days. But there are a whole lot of days when you go down government, you can't even get down government. And a lot of people that are in here, when Mardi Gras comes, and there are not any floats down there, how do you get down government then? How do you get down MLK then? You see, if you keep allowing people to come in and keep chipping away at your city, then eventually one day you're going to be old. And you're going to come up in here and you're going to say one thing: how did we allow this? Because you have a whole bunch of big old colossal buildings, and guess who's going to be in that end? Nobody. Now the city's going to be sitting around here and they're going to have a problem with people just going in, staying in.
You're at 6 minutes. Did anybody else want to speak before I cut you? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem.
Anybody else want to speak? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, Donovan, you want to, I'm going to hold you to 5 minutes on this run, Donovan.
Appreciate it, Andy. Yeah, I've just done a lot of meetings in my past few years. Golly, crazy, basically accused of being a liar. I don't know what to say. I mean, if there's anybody in this room that's being disingenuous or not honest, I think it's not me at the microphone. I believe most of the individuals that got up here talked about changing neighborhood character. Mr. Lewis talked about 18-wheelers, Mr. coming, parking on MLK that were not there. several years ago. I was told that the only property I mentioned were those on Government Street. But I remember Macedonia Church said that I'm not even talking about anything on MLK. All I said was Government Street. And then he got up and said, I mentioned the parking lot, which is on MLK. The 3 houses that everybody knows that were removed are on MLK. Changes have occurred on MLK. I don't care what the address is of Broom's Grocery or Blue Dog, but Broom's Grocery, Blue Dog, the entrance is at the corner, and people sit on MLK. There's a table on MLK. There's a dumpster on MLK. There's parking on MLK that was not there, 10 years ago. In fact, if you search your records, I think you'll find that Broom's Grocery's original access point was on Vermont. Yeah, it was on, well, it was Vermont, now it's MLK. So, I mean, that's the way it was, a long time ago. And then if somebody came in next to my house and wanted to rezone and looked like him, we would come up in arms. What kind of comment is that? One thing I would say, show me the change in neighborhood character, and you couldn't do it. And if I was here tonight asking you to rezone property that I didn't think had evidence of a change in neighborhood character, I would say, vote me down. But I think that when you look at the amount of houses that have been removed in this area, from 1972 that I showed, all the way to 1992 to currently, there has been more and more removal of residential structures. That means that the RD may not be appropriate. Now, like I said, the developers can put up my calculations, best case scenario for them, 18 units. So anybody who's scared of traffic, I could probably get more units with the RD and it look haphazard than I can with a CMX-1. You're right, Andy, if I come in with a CMX-1, there's a number of uses that I could do by right. But if the intent is to do some kind of subdivision, moving the lot lines, I would have to come before you guys, yeah. So, I mean, classing the lot, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at this property, we're gonna evaluate it. Hopefully y'all will give us the change in zoning, because I do think it's necessary. Those houses will not remain. Those houses that are on that property have been purchased and they will be demolished. So the question is, what goes back? Something that we can, maybe put our best foot forward and do a quality project, or, try to do a quality project with what we have. And if you want to talk about the cottages down on Oak Park and Cottage Square, Bruce Shoulder did a great job at, arranging houses all throughout that development that face each other, face people's backyard, do everything else. So it can be done, and it can be done with quality. But it's still going to have more units than you probably would with the CMX-1 rezoning.
That's 4.5, Donovan.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of beside myself. Like I said, I do this for a living, but it's always nice to, be slapped around by somebody when you come down with these. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Andy, can I have?
No. All right, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second by Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are out of public hearing. Just to kind of recap, actually we have a new city attorney. Do you want to jump in on rezoning? Just not this particular one, but the... No? Will you correct me if I'm wrong on anything I say? How about that? So yes, we did have a rezoning request last time. Yes, it did include a site plan, and you said 13? I'm taking you at your word.
It said 13, I've got the document.
I had some not personal issues, but there were some, I don't think the math worked. I think they were only 30 foot wide with 10 foot setbacks, and I don't think they had enough room for those. But it kind of doesn't matter, because even if they told us today hey, we're only gonna build 3, there's nothing to stop them from selling it to another guy that builds 5 or builds a grocery store or any other use in the CMX1. So we're not, I don't know their intent. We don't, it doesn't matter at this point because of how our laws are set up. So we are looking at changing character of the neighborhood and a public need, or mistaking the original zoning and, or mistaking the original zoning, which I don't think anybody here has brought up, so we're gonna throw that one out. So we're looking at change of character of the neighborhood and a public need for this particular property. If he does go, so that was what I was trying to say earlier, if he does do something similar, whether or not it's 13, 20, or 1, he would have to come back and get that approved for us. If he built a single grocery store or anything else allowed in the CMS1, he would not. Everybody on board? Everybody understand and agree? Anybody want to add? Did I misspeak? I gotta know. All right, so that said, who's got some comments, some questions, some thoughts?
I'd like to start with a question from Wade. So the 4 houses that were mentioned that were damaged during Katrina are sitting on a CH lot on the corner of Government and MLK. Was that originally zoned CH or was that rezoned CH after those houses were removed?
That I don't know, you have to go back into the history of it. I would have to, my understanding is that area was rezoned, I think, possibly in conjunction with the construction of Vehicle Boulevard at that time, which probably would have been in the 70s. The house would probably predate that.
Predate the rezoning of that. Okay.
But I mean, without really doing a lot of research, I really couldn't say for sure. Probably doing some speculation there.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I'm trying to understand what was rezoned when and why, to determine kind of the logic behind it. From my view, I agree that the vast majority of rezoning has been Government Street facing. And that's my personal opinion. I understand that development on Government Street affects the feeder streets, affects the collection streets, and traffic on those. But to me, the rezoning all looks like it has been Government Street facing.
Wait, back to the, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt. Okay, well, it's on your point though. So this would be the northwest corner of MLK, the 3 or 4 houses that aren't there anymore, the CH zone. Is the CH, does it allow any residential?
Not under the current zoning.
Maybe multifamily, like maybe an apartment, I think would be, but like a single family residential, a condo, any of that is?
No, single-family dwelling duplexes would not be permitted in CH under the current regulations.
I didn't think so,
Now,
but I
let's
didn't.
say what was when that all dates to the adoption of the Unified Development Code. Prior to that, I'd have to go back and look at the previous regulations.
It's kind of
somewhat, but they are single-family dwellings in a CH district are non-conforming uses. They can continue in that use. You know, they're vacant, torn down, or whatever.
And it's kind of a non-issue, but I guess it does kind of somewhat play into the change in character. But that's why I was asking, because I kind of thinking along those lines too. All right, who else has got any questions for Wade? I mean, you can call on anybody that spoke. I mean, if anybody has any more questions for Donovan, residents, anything? Does anybody want to take a stab at a motion if we don't have any more discussion?
I would like to make one comment. Donovan, you're always very professional, and I apologize if you feel like your integrity, for me, your integrity is unreproachable. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Any further comments, questions, concerns? And if not, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I really didn't see anything to change my mind from our last meeting. I feel that if we rezone this CMX, we are doing more changing to the neighborhood than the neighborhood has changed on its own. And I think that's reflected on what we've seen along Government. I can understand the creep along there. But I think this is clearly going into an established neighborhood, regardless of the condition of the homes. So I make a motion to recommend denial of the rezoning of parcels 6011-9334.000, 6011-9332.000, 6011-9330.000, 6011-9340.000, 60119.328.000 and 60119.328.050 from RD2 Family Residential to CMX1 Neighborhood Commercial Mixed Use.
Okay, so Kevin has recommended denial.
Second.
I have a second from Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. So that will go to, opposed? I'm sorry. So that will go 1, 2, 3, 3 to 1. I needed to use both hands. 4 to 1, excuse me, for denial. You got that, Elizabeth? Nick was, okay, perfect, thank you. All right, that won't be heard till the first meeting in August, correct?
That is correct.
Next meeting, so first meeting in August. First Tuesday in August, the board decision. Board is the one that matters compared to us only recommending. All right, next item, public hearing, approve the draft 20 Ocean Springs 2045 comprehensive plan. Update, Slaughter and Associates, Mike Slaughter prepared it. This should have been emailed to everybody. Where's my copy? Should have been emailed to everybody.
I only did 3 copies because it was so much.
Okay, they got, he's still mine. No, that's fine.
In between everybody.
I promise I read it already. I don't need any more of it right now, so. All right, so we are, public hearing, approve the draft Ocean Springs 2045 comprehensive plan update, Slaughter and Associates, Mike Slaughter. Do I have a motion to go to public hearing? All right, I have a motion by Marshall, second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing. If I can go out of turn and probably say something I shouldn't say, but I think the best case for us is to send this to the board with a recommendation one way or the other. But I think that it's getting time to let the board make a decision on this one. I hope y'all agree, but let's move along and see what happens. I don't see anybody from Slaughter, so I assume you're going to give us the whole update and the overrun and talk
Brief
about
update on, right? Elizabeth, did you put on the?
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a second.
The one thing I didn't like is I didn't redline this one like the last one, so you had to really hunt for all the changes this time.
Yeah, I was gonna tell y'all, I tried looking through it, but it was kind of like, all right, what changes happened here?
All right. Like I said, I'm going to make this brief, just kind of give you an update on where we are. The current version has a date of May 28th, I believe, for this. And that was subsequent to the work session in April that y'all had. The current draft is supposed to have incorporated the recommendations and revisions that y'all had brought up during that work session. Looking over the plan, they've taken care of those, at least for the most part. Just to give you a history of it, there so far were 2 open house public meetings that Slaughter and Associates held in 2023 and 2024. And then in November of last year, there was a planning commission public hearing on the comprehensive plan. It was sent back for more changes. Y'all did have that work session on the 29th of April, and it's coming back to y'all now with those revisions that you see in the plan. I think rather than go on, I think I'm glad to answer any questions you might have about the plan itself, or if you want to open it up for a public hearing. But like I said, I'm glad to answer any questions you might have about the details and specifics of it.
Does anybody have any, so we're called for the public, but does anybody have anything for Wade specifically?
Not for Wade.
Okay. Let's go here from the public first before we get too into ours. That might help guide us a little bit. Does anybody in the public want to speak to the draft Ocean Springs comprehensive plan? We're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes, but I think everybody will get 3 minutes. We'll go 5 if you want it.
I don't think I'm the speaker. I don't know. So, Joe Jewell, Ward 3, as y'all know, I've been an outspoken opponent to the plan as it exists. I did go back, as Andy mentioned, it's very difficult to track the changes. There's no way you would know that. So I word searched the document. And I noted in this version, unlike the other versions, there were some changes that occurred. Certainly the underpass and the railroad is out of there now. There's several things that the board asked for repeatedly that stayed in the document all the way to the end of this version is now not in the document, as far as I can tell. because there's no way to really substantially tell unless I had more time to review a 171-page document that is ballooned to more than 4 times what the original document is. But I will say, I did not see anything in there that substantially changed my opinion. I like the appearance of it better than the previous versions. There are a lot of pictures that show exactly what we're speaking about. I think the public would enjoy that and understand the document better that's in there. But substantively, it didn't change. And I'm going to say this. This was an open-ended contract for Slaughter Associates that far exceeded what they were originally contracted for. And it's my personal opinion, repeatedly not updating what this board required of them over and over until now, this version. I agree with Andy 100%. Y'all should make a decision now, one way or another, and put it in the Board of Aldermen's court. You don't need to keep beating this horse over and over. Let's make a decision, go on, and I will respect that. Thank you.
Name and ward at the microphone.
Getting there, you hear that?
Ellen Holly, Ward 2. I would like to say this board has, commission, whatever you guys are called, have done a really good job at going through that. I mean, Andy, your comments, I remember one meeting were like 10 minutes long that they had kept missing, and I was amazed at the specificity and details and mistakes, etc. But I, like Joe, I have a contracts background, and seeing that they had an open-ended contract that was supposed to be like, I don't remember, like $80-something thousand, and we've spent them over $500,000 for something that we never had participation in. I went to every meeting, and to say that they were participatory is totally a joke. We never had community input where we could sit down. When I walked into the first meeting, I picked up a copy so that I could walk through it, and I was told to put it back down because it had to be there for other people to look at. But none of us could actually take it and read it unless we had gotten online, and we don't have a full-time job that we could read, hundreds of pages and understand it. But it didn't reflect accurately so many things, and it's definitely not the interests of people who are walkers or bikers or whatever, that the nature of different neighborhoods. And I know you guys know all this, I've heard you guys say this at various meetings, so I know I'm preaching to the choir or whatever. So I'm just saying, I'm totally opposed to this plan. You could have taken the 2010 plan, updated it internally. I'm sure Wade and his staff at that time could have done that with participatory meetings with the neighbors of each area, especially the annexed area, and gotten their input so they could feel like they were listened to. And I just feel like this was a complete waste of money. And we didn't feel like that we trusted them, that what they were doing when things had changed and we couldn't see it, and were red lines, and it was just a nightmare. So getting this behind us, I think, is a good forward move for the city, and we start forward in a new way. And I think that the entire city would be happy to see this just stop the bleeding now. Thank you very much.
Mr. Lewis, name and address at the microphone. Oh, man, I was so good. Mr. Lewis, name and ward at the microphone, please. See, I was
Praise
You're
God,
still set for
all
10.
blessings flow. James Lewis, Ward 5. The comprehensive plan has been already stated as a joke. That's the bottom line up front. Key thing is, $500,000 are paid on something. You guys went back in and gave Slaughter and Associates marching orders to go back in and do what needed to be done. And they didn't do that. They just came back again and again. Then Matthew stood up at the Board of Aldermen, and he stated, and the Board of Aldermen said, well, we're going to put it back in you guys' hand again. We got a new board. Praise God that board is going to make the correct decision about if this comprehensive plan is, because it's just a joke, a waste of money. We haven't really accomplished anything we really should accomplish. We've just wasted taxpayer dollars on going backwards and forth, and the person that was supposed to be representing the city, pockets got fat. That's the bottom line up front. Pig is a pig. Put district on it, still a pig.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Anybody else in the audience? Once, twice, anybody else? Motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Anybody want to take the first stab at comments, or y'all want to hear what I got to say?
I'll definitely comment.
Mine's very short, so I will, I don't know how much we spent. I'm not going to come in and say that Slaughter nailed it on every account. I will say of all the revisions we made, I think this latest version is actually seems to have actually addressed everything more than just putting the word homelessness in there. They actually did add some things. I really do like the matrix and all. This is the matrix, this is the rest of the report. I'll leave it at that, but I do think that this latest one, they at least, in my mind, showed a little more effort than some of the other comment periods that we have. Kevin, you said you had something?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, we sent, or at least I did, I sent emails after the last meeting of, things that I would like to see, and I feel like most of that was ignored.
Different opinions on that.
Yeah, it is
I'm not saying all of mine were hit, but at least most of mine were not ignored this time.
Yeah, to me, it still strikes me, it's an extremely vague document. It's extremely verbose. It's repetitive. There's something like 70-something objectives, and some of them are encourage the use of public transportation. I mean, that's an objective. I mean, there's not enough detail in it for, I think, what we paid for. I think we could have done a better job in-house, even if we started from scratch. Whatever it takes to get this to stop, if that's whatever it is, I want that to happen. And I will volunteer 10 hours a month of my time to sit down and work on this document in-house, just to get this done and done right. That's all I got.
Okay.
Well, my comments in general were terribly verbose and very repetitive. You put an introductory section and it's repeated 2 or 3 times throughout the document. So probably if you took out the repetition and verbosity, it would be about half its depth. That's the main thing. Some other nitpicks I think were picked up for the most part.
I think you made me think of an old saying that it's repetitive, it's redundant, and it keeps saying the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's, what they didn't do is, I think a couple of us came from it, the same thing, saying it's very repetitive and verbose, and to boil it down, then we might be able to know what we're getting, but it's, a lot of window dressing.
I think, yeah. What about Joe? What you got?
I got one thing, and I'm sure I know the answer, but I just wanted it on record. In the matrix, on several occasions, it says rezone property as appropriate. Who initiates the rezone, or is it downward pushed, or is it a work together?
I can answer that. In 10 years of being on this board, I've seen the city initiate one rezoning. Everything else has been the property owner that's initiated. So the city,
where someone's going to use this as a marching plan, and
correct me if I'm wrong, the city can initiate a rezone, or maybe it's more of a, they can, but I think the Dale Cottages, you remember that one?
Correct.
Something, maybe it was even north of that. I don't remember if it was an actual cottage property or not, but that was the only time in that area that I've seen the city actually initiate a rezoning themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could.
The city can. Typically, we would do it as part of a large area zoning study.
Well, the
No, I think as I
annexation
recall,
would be-
Lee, this is back before your time, part of Government Street was rezoned, I think to CMX 2 at the initiation of the city. I think it was been back in the 90s or 2000s at the time. That was done as part of a overall.
So it's uncommon, but it can happen.
Yeah, if I remember right, the rules state that the property owner can initiate a request, the Board of Aldermen, the Planning Commission, and I believe the Planning Director. I believe those are the people that can initiate a request for rezone.
Correct. But typically, it's done at the initiation of the property owner. And probably 95% of the time, it's done that way.
I agree. I just wanted to make sure that if the city initiates it, that there's going to be some working with the property owners.
Oh.
The only time I remember it, I mean, even though the city initiated it, had to come through us, which, I mean, not that we just recommend anyway, but I didn't know it was coming, so it was kind of a surprise, and I think I even said in that meeting, like, can we do that? But yeah, so, I mean, it would still have to go through the process, but I mean.
Okay, that's it. That was it.
Nothing else?
Mine is only, ultimately, if this gets approved, goes to the Board of Aldermen, they approve it. None of this really holds your feet to the fire to make any of this happen. We could have left the underpass.
It's not an
there.
ordinance, it's a guiding document. Correct, yeah. The underpass could have been in there and not affected anything, but to me, it was a symptom of.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement. It was a little bit out there, but ultimately.
Do we have to approve it to
We
change
do
it?
not.
What do you recommend? Well, if we recommend denial, is it just they keep working on it?
No,
or-
if we recommend denial, I mean, we just recommend, so it goes to the board.
Yeah,
and the
We
board
ultimately,
denies it.
so the way I understand it, you gotta have one of these on file
Yeah.
to move forward with plans, that sort of thing.
Especially with the annexation, yeah.
Right, especially with the annexation that we're going through. But ultimately, like you said, we could have updated what we had and just made some changes and things, because it says 2045, but I guarantee the city will be revisiting this before 2045. They should.
If we don't, we failed, yeah.
Right. So ultimately, if we approve it, we get something on file, they can move forward with the annexed areas, and then we can, am I misspeaking any?
No, the existing plan, 2010 plan, does address annexation itself, but per state, Mississippi state law, the city has to have a comprehensive plan for the annexation area in order to do the rezoning of it.
And then we can revise this plan next year.
If the board wanted to instruct consultants, whoever, to do that, absolutely.
It's a guide.
And he says the board, I would say it has to go through the board, but I mean, honestly, you can initiate the change being here, hey, guys, we've been running into access management enhancements, this is the first thing I saw.
So by us approving it, I don't think we're doing anything, but just abiding by state law, we can move forward, we can deal with annexation issues, and then we can revise as needed.
We could recommend approval and the board turn this one down and start from scratch. We can recommend denial and the board say, hey, man, we got the best comprehensive plan ever.
But if we recommend approval and the board approves, we can stop the bleeding now.
Stop the bleeding now.
Well, if we recommend denial and cessation of continued work on this plan.
Well, we can recommend.
Recommend it.
I mean, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if we recommend, if the board denies it, I can't say that they're gonna go back to Mike and get them to redo it, if they're gonna start from scratch, or if they're gonna try to do it in-house. There's nothing to say you can't do it in-house, right? There's no third party, whatever. We could recommend denial or approval, and the board could come in and say, hey, why don't we copy and paste into our own new document, or what, I don't know the legality of borrowing the roads, but you know what I mean,
No, I read the contract, but whatever they have written, whatever work they have done belongs to the city.
Okay, so we could, if this, so your 10 hours a week is gonna be
10 hours a month.
copy and paste
a
this little
month.
bit. But I do think it would be a disservice if we don't recommend something and get it on the board's plate. That's kind of where I'm at. I personally shouldn't say I don't care, but I don't have a dog in the hunt. If we want to deny it, I'd say let's deny it and see what the board does. If we want to approve it, let's approve it and see what the board does.
Yeah, I would love to deny it.
Yeah. The good news is we have a
Brand new board.
There you go. So I just think we need to make a decision. We've all vetted it. We've all reviewed it. I feel like actually this go round, most of my comments were actually addressed, and in most cases, there was a couple little write-offs, but in most cases, they actually did a better job addressing my comments this round than any others. Doesn't sound like you experienced the
Well,
same.
the one thing they did do that I asked was they reorganized.
They took out that entire front section and all that.
Which I thought was helpful. I still think the whole first 4 chapters can be an appendix.
Yeah.
And that gets you straight. The document should start page 1 vision. It shouldn't be buried on page 102.
Tell us what you're going to say it.
Disagree.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
That's how 10th graders write essays.
That's right.
Not comprehensive plans.
5 paragraphs. Anybody want to take a stab at a motion?
I'll take a motion. I will recommend approval of the City of Ocean Springs 2045 Comprehensive Plan.
Okay. We have a motion by Nick and a second by Joe for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Did y'all really make me do this? Oh, man. All right, well. Cardinal leadership kind of doesn't matter, right? Because if I say no, we'll just do the other side. All right, I'll just be I really don't want to. I'll be a nay So your motion fails for approval. Do I have another motion?
Recommend denial of the draft comprehensive plan.
We have a motion for denial. Do I have a second on that one?
Second.
Second by Marshall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
I'll be an aye for denial, so that'll go 3-2. Recommending denial, so Wade, is that gonna be on next week's, or that's gonna skip another one
That
first?
will have to be a public hearing.
On,
Also will go to the board at the first meeting in August. I guess what that's.
I didn't look it up earlier, I think it's the 4th, I'm just making that up, I don't know. Let's see, and that'll be a good one if I can make it the 5th. So August 5th, going to the board with the recommendation for denial. New business, nothing, general public comment, non-agenda items, anybody in the audience want to take a stab at any general public comment? Mr. Lewis, name and ward please.
James Lewis, Ward 5. I just want to thank you all for being honest with yourselves and following God's guidance. That's what you first need to do. Seek His guidance first, because the decisions that you make are the decisions you have to live with. When you lay your head on your pillow at night, you can sleep well. But if you've not done what God has charged you to do, because you are the stewards on the planning commission for Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And that's on you when you make a decision that God's going to be pleased with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. See, we can agree every now and again.
Helen Ward 2, I just want to say thank you for your service, and I wouldn't want to do it. I'm glad you're doing it, and I really appreciate it. I know you guys all care about Ocean Springs and you work really hard, and I'm really sorry if I offended anybody over the last year. Anything that I said, I did not mean to personally offend anyone. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jewell, name and address.
I want to echo the two previous comments. It's nothing personal to me. I know that we disagree, and we disagree professionally. I respect y'all, I respect the job that y'all do. Tonight, I agree with the decisions that y'all made, but I have always respected y'all, and I understand what a difficult job it is, and I appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Anybody else? All right, Commissioner Forum. Anybody got anything?
I have nothing tonight for a change.
Nothing?
Want to talk about short-term rentals?
Anybody? Goodness gracious, let's go home.
How about I move that we?
Well, hold on, I got one.
You got something?
I got one. I do believe that this is Joe's last time at this table, is that correct?
Yep.
So 6 years. I commend you for your service. You've been dedicated. You've been here.
I missed a deadline.
But Joe's done a bang-up job. We really do appreciate you, Joe, and we hope you enjoy having an extra Tuesday.
It's been very interesting, yes.
I just want to echo that for the staff's position too.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your service, Joe. All right, now, what were you going to say?
I move that we adjourn.
Boom.
Second.
Second by Joe, motion by Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you again to the staff, Wade, all your hard work is greatly appreciated.
I don't want to hear the word comprehensive plan.
Glad to see you on board one, and I hadn't seen you and I was getting worried about you.
Yes, ma'am. Well,